Hi, everyone. How are you today? I hope you are doing well. Welcome to You Still Matter, a show about seniors and those who love them. I have a very special guest with me today. So excited to introduce her to you. And her name is Jane Lomas. Jane, how are you?
I am great, thank you, Donna. How are you today?
I am doing well. It's so great to see you. And so how's your day been so far?
It's been a busy one, honestly. I like to start out every weekday with two masterminds. One's about real estate. There's high-powered realtors on there who share their insights and how they do things. This market's really interesting and shifting.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually I'm on the senior home coach call after that. But this time was at a health and wellness fair at the Decatur Rec Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I was representing the National Aging in Place Council, of which I'm a member, and am trying to get the Atlanta chapter up and running again. We've been kind of fallen, with things happening, it just interest fell off, and now we're trying to rejuvenate. So,
Sure. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And mentioning, I know I saw a posting that you did a few months ago
Mhm.
regarding fall prevention. And of course, I remember I had my doctor on one of the first episodes, and we were talking about falling. And I was just curious to know at that time why. Usually, the first question for seniors when you visit the doctors are, have you fallen lately? And so she covered all of that.
Mhm.
But what I wanted you to do, and by the way, everyone, she is what is called a senior home coach. She's a senior home coach. And just tell everyone a little bit about what a senior home coach is, because I'm sure people are thinking, what is that?
I get that all the time, honestly. Well, I take the fear and overwhelm out of aging transitions for seniors and their families by
Mhm.
making home, move, and real estate decisions clear and manageable with compassion and support. I'm
Mhm.
really driven to educate the community on their options before the options are no longer optional.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
once seniors have had a fall, sometimes they go into a hospital. They may go
Mhm.
into rehab after that. There may not be the same when they come out, and things have definitely changed for their living conditions. And I just
Mhm.
want them to be thinking ahead so they
Yeah.
have their ducks in a row.
Absolutely. So let's just kind of back up a minute. Let's talk about some fall prevention tips because I
Mhm.
know that my doctor, again, she had mentioned you can have someone come to your home and just kind of take a look around and
Yes.
see what um, may be there that you may trip and fall over or so on and so forth. So let's just kind of share some tips on what seniors should be looking for as they kind of investigate their own quarters.
It
Uh,
is, it's so important.
yes, yes.
Uh, That's like I can do a home safety audit. That's when someone comes in, just like you mentioned, and takes a look around. And
Mhm,
basically, we're looking at the entrance and the egress and exits, making sure there are railings for people.
mhm,
Um, you want to make sure the cords are either secure or out of the pathways that you take, that any scatter rugs are either secured down or really removed. They are just can really make you fall.
mhm.
So and then light, you never realize how much, if you improve the lighting, how better you can see and how much you're less likely to fall. Just a
Mhm.
fewer brighter light bulbs can make a world of difference. And they have meters that can measure how bright your light bulbs are.
Mhm.
And, and you could be advised to improve that.
Mhm. Well, talking
Yeah.
about lighting, let's even talk about lighting, say, before you even enter the house, right?
Mhm.
Your porch lighting, perhaps driveway lighting, or wherever, you're having to travel from to be able to get into the home. So
Mhm.
talk about the importance of that as well.
Well, when you're driving when you're getting out of your car and getting into your house, if it's not well lit, it's just a recipe for disaster
Mhm.
because you've got uneven paving, you've got steps maybe that you don't see. If you have lights that come on automatically with motion detectors, when you pull into the driveway, you've got illumination and you can see better. Same when you go up your front porch, that the porch light comes on automatically. They have so much smart technology out there now that can take care of those issues so that when you're moving, you don't have to remember. It's lit up for you and you can see so much better.
Mhm. And I can
Mhm.
tell you from experience that it takes um, just a couple seconds to trip and fall. I remember when that happened to me. Now I think it's maybe almost 2 years ago, I think. I was leaving out of my home and I went down one of the steps, and the next thing I know, I was looking up from
You know,
being,
the same thing happened to me pretty recently too. I
wow.
just lost my balance and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
I was on the ground looking up. I'm like, oh my goodness, thank
Yeah.
goodness nothing was broken. Did you break anything?
Well, when I had the X-ray, they said I had a chip on my hip
Oh,
bone. Yeah. But
yeah.
I mean, it just happened so suddenly. And again, that's the main reason, when you were doing your talks and you were talking about fall prevention, I really keyed in on that because I know I've experienced that. And it just happened so quickly. And I obviously
Mhm.
tripped over something. It was dark. It was on one of those winter evenings where it gets dark early, right?
Earlier, like
And
now. Mm.
yeah, and ironically enough, I was on my way to urgent care because I had had another incident. So
Oh my
that was
goodness.
just, yeah, that was just kind of bizarre. But so I'm
Mhm.
always, making sure that there are no leaves or anything now on the steps.
Pathway.
And now with fall, they're continuing to fall and pine needles
Yes.
and everything. And it's like you have to pretty much, sweep it or blow it every
Constantly.
day. Yeah, because
And
it's
then when they get wet, they're even more of a hazard because they're
yeah.
slippery.
Yeah, like today
Mhm.
we're getting so much rain. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, we just have to think ahead for that. But so I know okay, so you mentioned making sure that cords are out of the way,
Yes.
to make sure that they're rugs. And oftentimes there can be a lot of the rugs or the runners, I guess, that are
Hmm.
what are the best ones to purchase, to make sure that they're non-slip, right? Because it's
Hmm.
been real common to just slip on a rug inside the home. So what
It
would
is.
you suggest?
They do have, you do really do need to pay attention to the backing to those area rugs or those throw rugs, and make sure they do have that non-stick surface on them so that it adheres to the floor.
Hmm.
It's just, but it's better to just do away with them, honestly, because even with those non-stick, if you catch a corner wrong and kick
Hmm.
it up, then you've got something to trip over.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But a lot of times fall prevention talks stop at the devices that you can install that prevent falls.
Hmm.
But what's more important than that is it doesn't matter if you can't get up off the floor. So that's something that I like to tell people too, that 47 people who fall can't get up and they pass away within the year. And it's not from the fall, but it's from being stuck on the ground or being hospitalized afterwards. So it's just really important that seniors learn skills on how to get up and
So would you talk
keep
about
those
that
strong.
for a moment?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you just want to practice yourself, sitting down and getting up from a chair a couple times, 3 or 4 times a day, just doing it for a couple times, repetitions, doing 3 to 4 repetitions. And once you've gotten that mastered, you want to try getting down on the floor and getting up. I've tend to typically use a little support to get up, but I really want to get to the point where I can get up, but I've got my rear end way up in the air to try to get up.
Hmm.
But if you've got a chair nearby or a couch, you can use that. But really, ideally, you want to be able to pick yourself up by yourself. I think that the amount of lift assists that the fire departments do annually has increased incredibly because seniors who tend to be overweight fall in and can't get up. And then their caregivers are usually maybe less substantial or weak, not as strong, and they need help to get those people up and back into a chair, and the firemen have to come out and do that. And it's a lot of
Really
taxpayer.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's so interesting, Jane. I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I know I myself, I've never heard of that before. Making sure that you practice, right? Practice
yeah,
getting on the floor to make sure you're able to get up. And that's really interesting. That's a great, great tip.
it is.
It's something that most people probably don't really think about it unless and until they fall, right?
Exactly.
And
Right.
so maybe doing some kind of role playing of trying to get up. Wow, that is really, really interesting. And so what else do you think would really come into play as well for, say, for seniors who may be living alone in a freestanding home? And then I want you to talk about really if they're in a senior facility, kind of the difference in maybe them feeling more confident or when they may kind of look at moving to another
Mm,
area. What do you think about
right.
that?
Well, I think it's something like 80 to 90% of people who are over 50 want to age in place. They've lived in their home for a long time. They know their neighbors, they're comfortable there, it's their home. But really, is that the right place to age in place? And that's why you need someone like a senior home coach or an occupational therapist or someone to get a second opinion on whether or not your house is equipped for you to age in place. And when you think about friend of mine's husband just had his knee replaced, and they have a gorgeous home indicator, but a stairs with a landing halfway up. And they were thinking that he would just go up the stairs when he came out of the hospital. And it was like, no, they had to bring the hospital bed into the dining room. So you just need to be looking at how you can move around in your house and whether or not it's going to be safe, especially when you become frailer, when stairs become challenging, and think about maybe you need to move to single story living or move all your living to one floor so that you're not going up and down the stairs.
Hmm.
And I think that's what when you're thinking about moving to a senior community, maybe you're to that point where the maintenance of a house, the coming and going and getting groceries, maybe that's just become too much for you to manage. And that's when you want to consider perhaps moving to a community, to an assisted living, to some other place where you've got care right there and people around to keep you socialized and keep you active.
Hmm. And I would assume even, in your home, even if you've made your home adaptable, that you're
Mm.
feeling that's adaptable anyway. And I think usually what's most common, I think, when this conversation is in the bathroom, right? And
Yes.
making sure that you have grip bars and things like that. Can you talk about that just for a second? Knowing that that's real common to hear, but it's not always the only thing that really should be done.
True. The bathrooms are where a lot of falls house because not only that you're getting in and out of the shower, bathtub, whatever, you've got wetness that makes it slippery. Um, if you're going to the bathroom at night and the light doesn't come on, then you're kind of in the dark, and that's a danger too, to fall and to trip and fall.
Hmm.
So bathrooms are they make them now you can have a zero entry shower. So you're not even stepping up to get into the shower. It's
Hmm.
just a flat entry. My house has a tub shower, and getting in and out of that, it's like you want to have a grab bar just in case. So you really need to look at your bathroom and see what sort of safety components you could add to make sure that there's not potential for fall hazards.
Hmm. And what about, say, in other rooms? What about, say, your bedroom? Is
Well,
there?
that's important too. If you don't have good lighting, if you're getting out of bed and your bathroom's far away, it's nice to have those plug-in lights that maybe come on at night so your pathway is illuminated. At the health fair today, my friend who helped man the booth with me, Andrea, brought this device that she purchased. It's a plug-in. You actually replace your wall plug plate, and it has a place for you to plug in, but it also has a light that when it senses movement and it can turn on, and you could put on a timer for say 3 minutes. So it's not like on and off, but it will illuminate your path from the bed to the bathroom or the hallway or down to the kitchen. You've got some lighting along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then area rugs, you want those need to be taken up. Pet beds, you want to watch out for those things. Those can be trip hazards if they're in the path. You just really want to have clear paths where your high trafficked areas are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of seniors too have trouble with stuff and stacks of stuff and hoarding and that sort of thing. That's another decluttering, another big thing that we want to make sure is clear for when you're aging in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I help with that too.
Wonderful. So,
Yeah.
and I know that you are in the Atlanta area, but we have a lot of our
Mhm.
viewers also that are in other states as well, Jane. So, who would they really reach out to, or who would they contact, um, in their, respective states of who could might be able to come out to take a look?
There are, well, we have senior home coaches in most throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are senior home coaches all around. There are also, so many counties and towns have aging commissions like the Atlanta Regional Commission on Aging. So I think they just really need to probably Google it, honestly. And there are some services. AARP has got a wonderful uh, videos for exercise, for socialization, for games, just really trying to keep your brain moving and keep you engaged. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think that when seniors become isolated and stop moving, it perpetuates. They get scared. They don't want to go out because they might fall. They're staying home too much. They're not socializing. They're not using their brain like they should. And
Mm-hmm.
turns into a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. For those who are local here, how can they reach out to you? For those who may want you to, come and give them a hand, and just kind of give that additional support or another eye, if you will, to just kind of, look at something that may be a hazard that they may have missed.
They are, I do offer consulting packages. Are we allowed to talk about this?
Well,
I wasn't sure.
well,
You know what
right.
I mean?
Right, exactly, exactly. Because I know that we were going to have you come back on, but I know that you do various talks as well throughout the community,
I
which is
do. Mhm.
wonderful, wonderful,
Mhm.
wonderful. And you can even talk. You're at the what was it, the Decatur Rec Center?
Rec Center. Yes.
And you
I talk there the third Wednesday of every month. I've
okay,
got talks booked through April of next year. And I've
okay,
also been talking to several spiritual communities about their senior ministry and
yeah,
getting with their seniors as well and offering some classes or stuff like
wonderful.
that.
So yes, so
Yeah.
if you're local here in Atlanta, you can know where to go and see her. Thank
Yes.
you so much. I so appreciate the information, as I'm sure all the viewers do. And I want to say thank you so much to those of you that send us messages. And of course, you guys know I love to share them. There was one post that said, "Hi, Donna. Once again, had the pleasure of watching Glenda Horton Manning, such a heartwarming podcast on friends and friendship. So wonderful to hear of Jesus as a friend to his followers and his everlasting love. Indeed, our oldest friends dwindle as we get older. Glenda reminds us to make new friends, hoping to hear from Glenda soon." And then here's one sent via email. Donna, thanks for what you do. So glad you are back. Johnson T. from Alpharetta, Georgia. Thank you. Donna, thanks for discussing friends. My granddaughter watched this episode with me so she can understand real friends. She gets depressed by not having a lot of friends on social media. Thanks again. She feels better now. And this came from Sarah in Washington, D.C. Thank you all so much for continuing to either post comments or to send them via email. And of course, the email is you still matter 55 at gmail.com. Now, I do want to pass along some sad news. We're mentioning Glenda, who's on the show quite often. My condolences certainly goes out to her as she just lost a brother last week. And of course, over the last few episodes, we've been talking about loss with her. And unfortunately, she has experienced this again, but she did lose her brother on last week. And so we're certainly praying for her. All right. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, thank you, Jane, for being with us to talk about fall prevention. So appreciate your information. And again, guys, you will see us, of course, on the first and the third Thursdays of each month. So you can remember and please subscribe if you haven't already, so you can become an official part of our You Still Matter family, okay? And of course, when you subscribe, then you know exactly at the time that we upload another episode. And feel free to give us a thumbs up. We appreciate you sharing as well, okay? All right, so thank you again. Remember, no matter who you are, no matter your age, no matter what you may be facing or going through, always remember that you still matter. All right. So thanks again for tuning in. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you soon on the next episode. Bye for now.